What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about this. This right here is the Valoi Film Advancer. And this product's basic use is for scanning film. So obviously this itself doesn't scan the film, but you put your film on here to keep it flat and stable. And then you can use a DSLR or a mirrorless camera to actually then take photos of your film and scan it. So this product is kind of very straightforward. You have the advancer itself, which is kind of the structure that holds everything together. That also includes this wheel right here that you can turn. And then you have the film holders. And basically you've got two different ones right here. You've got one for 35mm, and it's designed specifically to have the width of 35mm film and keep it nice and tight. And then this one is for 120 film, and it's the same principle. It's designed for the width of typical 120 film. You insert the film through here and it keeps it tight and flat. So how does this thing work? Well, the first thing you do is actually insert your film into the holder. And what I really like about this product is that the film holders themselves are very small and can be removed from the actual platform here. And that's good because it allows you to be a bit more flexible and it's more functional that way when you're using just this to put your film in. Once your film is in here, then you place this on top of the actual unit. And at that point, your film is ready to go. So let me actually show you a demonstration here with 35mm film and then one with 120 film. Alright, so y'all see this film right here. This is extremely curly. This is some expired film that I've been messing with. Video coming on that later this week. But basically this film is super curly, and of course I think this is a good test to see how the Valoi works in such a case. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the film holder first. As you can see here, you kind of got to manhandle this film just a little bit to get it in there. But once it's in there, you see how flat it looks already. It might kind of start to curl a little bit as you get in further, but I think this is where the Valoi shines a bit, because once you get it through and it's on both sides here, it's already kind of flat, like pretty good. And then the key is obviously you place it in the holder, and then once you start to push it through and it hits the wheels, at this point now it starts to get really flat. And the wheels in here keep it nice and taut and tight, and that's what helps give you a flat surface, as you can see here. It might not be perfectly 100% flat, but for a film like this that's extremely curly, it's good enough. And the scans for me look fine. I didn't have any issues. You definitely want to mask this if you're doing this in the light like I am right now, but otherwise it works really well. What's up? So I somehow forgot to talk about price when I recorded the original video, so here's the info. The unit that I have, so the actual advancer itself with the two film holders, that retails for about 220 euro, give or take. So it's definitely a premium product. It's not cheap, but I think the price here matches the build quality. So, I think that's something you could expect for a metal machined product. The other thing is, for a limited time, so for the next, I think 6 days, starting on Friday, so a couple days ago, there is a 10% discount if you use my affiliate code, which is RIBSY, R-I-B-S-Y. And that's a limited time offer. So if you buy your unit very soon, then you can take advantage of that. After that, you can still use the affiliate code or the link down below as well in order to, use my affiliate link, which will help support the channel and, keep things moving on my end. So I appreciate that, but go and get your discount ASAP if you're looking to buy. All right, so once your film is actually placed in the holder, then at that point, you slide it across until it meets the wheels that are on this advancer right here. And basically, the way the wheels work is that there's these two rubber wheels here that are basically flush against each other. And once something makes contact with it, it kind of adheres to it. These rubber wheels are very, I'm gonna say sticky, but there's actually nothing in there sticky. There's nothing that's gonna leave residue on your film or anything like that. And once it catches, you just simply turn. And when you turn, that stickiness then pulls the film through, and that's how you advance your film from the first shot to the second shot, and so on and so forth. And there's wheels on both sides, so no matter how you position this, if you prefer it kind of this way or if you prefer it this way, you can just turn and it works perfectly. It also works in both directions, so you can advance your film by turning, but you can also go back if you need to by turning in the opposite direction. That's super clutch there, because oftentimes if you're in a rush, you might do something that doesn't look great, and then you want to reposition, and here you can do it very simply. So that's the basic operation of this. This unit is modular. As you can see, there's some holes drilled into the actual metal here and on the other side as well. And that's because there's additional things you can get to add on to this unit. So I don't have any of the add-ons. This is strictly a review on the actual holders and the platform itself. or the advancer itself, but you can get something that's, for example, a dust brush, and here's a picture of it from the website. And these things, basically, you can add on to this to make it a bit more kind of complete if you want. Obviously, it'll cost more money that way, but that's why it's optional, and I think that's good. So a couple key things that I love about this. First and foremost is this is made out of metal. It's very solid, and it feels very well put together. I'm not a machinist, or I don't know anything about engineering really, but I'm not afraid that this is gonna break. I feel like you can drop this, and as long as it doesn't land like on one of these wheel mechanisms, you're probably gonna be fine. So I love how durable this is. The mats themselves are made out of really hard plastic, which also feels very durable, and it reminds me of some other units that I've used. So the hard plastic is great, but this doesn't have to be metal because this really won't break. There's nothing moving here. It's just a physical kind of mold. So these are very durable feeling as well. So in terms of construction, I really, really like this. The other thing that I really love about this is the fact that the holder for the films are separate from the actual unit. And I already talked about, the fact that it's easier to kind of put the film in and out. But the other thing is that switching between 35 and 120 is extremely fast here. You don't have to unscrew anything. You don't have to kind of disassemble anything. It's literally, this is the 35, you place it in there. If you want to do 120, pick the 120 up and you place it right there. And it's all good. It functions in both directions too, so you don't have to be precise in terms of which way you put it in. It will just fit, and it fits perfectly. There's a little bit of jiggle here, which I don't think is a problem. I haven't noticed it be a problem when scanning, but maybe it'd be cooler if this was tight. You kind of like snap it in and it's perfectly in place and doesn't move. But again, it hasn't made a difference. It's just kind of some random thing I thought about. The other thing I really love about this is the wheels. I think this is kind of the signature thing about this product. Other products out there do have wheels as well, but for example, the negative supply one, I've never used, so I can't really comment on it. But having the wheels on here is fantastic for two key reasons. One is obviously it makes it super easy to advance your film. And not only is it easy, but it's precise. I think that's the key thing here. Other units that I've used, you advance it with your hand, which obviously works just fine, but with this, because you're turning, you can dial it in just like a very perfect dial. And if you're looking through your mirrorless camera, your DSLR, the screen, as you see how you're advancing, you can very perfectly just tune it as much as you want. The other thing is this right here, the two sets of wheels, like I said, they're up against each other, so they're very tight and very kind of strong and strict. So once your film makes contact with that and starts to get pulled in, the film is very rigid and it doesn't move. You can shake the unit, you can do whatever you want, you can accidentally move the unit. It's not going anywhere. The film is going to stay in the exact same position because those wheels are holding it tightly. And that is perfect. I mean, like, I'm not a super, like, I got these big fingers, and every time I try to do anything, it's not very perfect. It's hard to kind of be precise. This eliminates that and makes it so much easier for me to do that without hassle. So I really, really love that aspect. The last thing that I really like about this is kind of the weight of it. That matters because you see you have little rubber feet here. That helps keep this thing very tight. You kind of hit it, bump it a little bit, and it's barely moving. And those are probably harder hits than I would bump it accidentally when I'm actually scanning. I have a very cheap light that I put under here. And with some of my other products, when I bump them, they kind of just move very, very fast. And that's kind of annoying because then I have to reposition everything and check my camera to make sure everything's kind of proper. It just adds time to this process. The whole goal of camera scanning is to be fast. And this, because of kind of those qualities I just mentioned, allow you to be very fast. I'm not gonna do a demo here of one of those like speed rounds where you kind of go click, turn, but if you really wanted to be one of those kind of badass people and you had a remote control for your camera, for example, you could literally sit there and ready, set, go. You go click, turn, and a roll of 36 film would probably, be scanned in under a minute potentially if you're really fast. So that's amazing. But even if you're taking your time, it's still gonna be pleasantly fast compared to, some other things that you could probably do. So in terms of cons, I don't think I have any cons here. This thing, it just works. It's not complicated. I didn't read any instruction manuals. I just got it to work. But, perhaps there's a couple things that I, could offer as potential things to change for the future. So the first thing I already mentioned, which was the film holders being able to kind of jiggle around in here. Again, it hasn't been a problem, but I just feel like it would make much more sense if this could just snap right in and it felt like it literally had no give. So that's one small thing. Another thing is that this has no light diffusion on the bottom. So if your LED light is either extremely strong or if it has you can see the actual LEDs under it and the light itself isn't diffused properly, then that's going to show through here exactly. There's nothing in here to kind of diffuse the light. The plus side of that is if you have a really kind of weak light, then you'll get the full strength of it hitting the negative. But if you have a very strong light or one that has, again, you can see the LED dots, then you're also going to see that. So it all depends on the light source you have, but it hasn't been a problem for me. My light source is not extremely strong and it's also very diffused, but I could see other situations where if that's the case, for example, the video light that I have right here, that I would not be able to use it with this without getting some sort of like acrylic plastic or something to diffuse it. The last thing I would say is that the film holders that they have are basically these two sizes, and it's specifically for 120. They don't have special holders for the different formats. This is kind of all-in-one. They do sell a mask that you can get to block off the excess light, but it would be nice in the future if you could order your advancer and then specifically order a mask for 645 or a mask for 6x6, 6x7. It just helps kind of really clean up your scans at the end of the day, given that it'll block all stray light from getting kind of anywhere. The only light that you'll see is the light shining right through the actual space for the particular film size. One thing I forgot to mention is that with this, you do get film borders. However, it's not the entire film border. You can't get the full film border because that's the reason why you have a holder, to actually use those sides of the film to keep it flat. But here they do give you a little bit of room on the top and the bottom. So if you like having the black space around your negatives, which I do actually, I love that for my film, you will get some of the black space here. And I'll show you some samples here that you can take a look at. And yeah, it's very straightforward. It's not a ton of space, but it's enough to give you that cool border. And when I crop my scans and then export them, I always do that with the border, you know, when I post on Instagram and all that. I just think it looks cool. It's nice to have a little border, and I think that's one way to kind of like show people you're shooting film, which, you know, shouldn't really matter, but, you know, this is a culture and we like showing off our culture, so that's one way you can do it. All right, let me know what you think. Do you like this unit? How does this compare to you with other units that you've used from other companies? I really think this is going to make quite a splash, and it's great to have something like this available in Europe, which would be much closer for a lot of you watching than buying things from the US, for example. So yeah, talk to me in the comments. What do you think about this? Are you excited about it? Let me know. All right, that's what I got for this week. If you enjoyed the video, obviously go ahead and like the video. And of course, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Until the next video, yo, I'm out.